What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, we're doing a watch list ahead of Game Week 18. So a bit like a couple of weeks ago when there was midweek fixtures. We've only had a few so far, but I still think it's quite good to look ahead to next week. Think about some players that haven't played yet, i.e. this isn't a complete knee-jerk. And also, obviously, take a look at some of the matches that have happened. And no, we will not be talking about Timo Pukki in this video, but I will talk about him in the team selection, why I bought him, why it might have been a mistake, and yes, obviously, Watkins owners, fair play to you. Goal and assist, and he looked good. He looked good fixtures, so fair play. I might even buy him at some point, right? But he's not going to be talked about either in this video. We've got a bunch of other players to talk about. If you do enjoy it, give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and let's jump into it. Alright, so we're going to start off with Jack Grealish. Now, this is a kind of personal watch list. It's a watch list for players that I might look to bring in at some point soon, right? Just a reminder. So this is my team currently. So obviously, I've already got Phil Foden. So I do think that Phil Foden is probably the best Man City option to bring in. We'll probably discuss this later on this week because people will be asking about Man City players after that Leeds game for sure. And I think that people always say, like, what if money was no issue? Like, would you go for Sterling? Would you go for De Bruyne? But money is always an issue. And like I said on the deadline stream, I actually think Foden is just a better option than Sterling right now anyway. Like, we always talk about rotation, and rotation is always going to be an issue in Man City. But I actually think Foden is just like first choice right now, and I don't think he's really missed too many minutes when he's been fit at all this season. So there's always a chance of him coming off early, but I do think he's the best option. The thing is, they were so good against Leeds. The fixtures in the next few are really good as well. Newcastle, Brentford are definitely games where you could see 3-4 plus goals being scored by Man City. And Leicester at home is not really a bad fixture anyway, so I want to add another player to that. Now, Kevin De Bruyne looked really sharp last night. I was really impressed. Even tweeted that before his second goal as well. He could have had an assist early on for Foden. He was absolutely everywhere. Forget about injuries, COVID and all that stuff. Like, Kevin De Bruyne is back. He's still very expensive. He still doesn't have penalties. So he is a little bit hard to fit in, but he is someone that I might put on the watch list in the future because depending on what happens with the African Cup of Nations, there's rumours it's going to get like postponed, and there's rumours that that's not happening. That's all just fake news. So we don't know right now. But if that went ahead and Salah goes, you suddenly got a lot of money to spend. Someone like Kevin De Bruyne could come in. But for me, I'm weighing up. Do I want to get that second Man City midfielder in? And Jack Grealish, I think, is part of Pep's probably favourite 11 right now. Like if I had to write down who Pep's first choice is right now, I'd say it's Grealish on the left, Foden through the middle, somebody on the right, Sterling or Mahrez. I'm not quite sure that position's as locked down as others. And then two central midfielders like Gundogan, Bernardo Silva or De Bruyne. The only thing is, because De Bruyne obviously is back, he's always playing in Pep's team, right, when he's fit. Does that mean that Gundogan kind of drops out more permanently now and Bernardo Silva plays there? Or does one of them play as a false nine? And therefore, Grealish might drop out a little bit more because Foden will come back to the left. And I do think Foden's ahead of Grealish in the pecking order. In Pep's post-match press conference, he did speak about how good Grealish was, but he kind of said it was only for like 20 minutes. And then he went on to say that Foden, forget about a striker, Foden scores plenty of goals. So it's just whether or not I want to take the risk, because it's all well and good having a good squad, but if you then pump the squad full of players that might not play, it's not quite as flexible as it kind of seems. But I do think Jack Grealish, just to come back on him, because I've spoken a lot about Man City, his numbers are looking good. I think a lot of people are talking in the media and stuff like that about how he's been a flop, because obviously it's 100 million, and with that money you expect this player that's just going to come and dominate every game. But Man City have so many good players. But 0.33 non-penalty expected goals, 0.3 expected assists. That is better numbers than at Aston Villa. He's in a better team, a team that's going to always create more. He does get the chances. He's in a bit of a finishing slump like right now, but obviously he did get his finish last night against Leeds with a header. And plenty of chance for assists as well. And he's always involved in the attacking kind of final third, right? So I do like Jack Grealish as an option. I do think if I had to name Pep's kind of first 11 right now, Jack Grealish is part of it. And also, like if I just bring the fixtures back up, they've actually got quite a bit of rest. Like they played on Tuesday. They don't have to play again until Sunday. There's no definite that Pep will completely rotate the side, so it could be very similar. We might see Cancelo come back in. We might see Mahrez change to Sterling. There might be I'm not saying there's no other changes, but there might be few other changes. Then they don't play again until Sunday. Then it's Wednesday to Saturday. So this turnaround's not bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad either. So I think Grealish is going to get plenty of minutes over Christmas. It's just whether or not you go for him over someone like Bowen. And Bowen is such a good option. He's a bit cheaper with a better run of fixtures as well. Pretty much nailed too. So it's a hard thing, but I just think Man City scores so many over the next 3. It's just whether or not I want to make that short-term transfer. But Grealish definitely on the watch list, and De Bruyne kind of is as well. Don't worry, this isn't just a video full of Man City players, but I did want to talk about the defence as well. Just quickly, because I know people are going to say, why haven't you mentioned Bernardo Silva in terms of a second attacker? I just think kind of last night's shown that when he plays with De Bruyne just felt like the more advanced player most of the game. There is just one game, so you probably shouldn't take too much away from that. And to be fair, Bernardo Silva did miss an absolute sitter. So if he'd scored that right, maybe we'd be having a different discussion. We'll have to see if he's fully fit for the next game. Pep said he had a little bit of a knock, but it didn't sound very bad. I think it was just precautionary. So I think he'll be fine for the Newcastle game. But coming back to the defence, Diaz is the obvious option to go alongside Cancelo, who I already own. And again, obviously I can't get double defence if I go double attack, but we'll have to wait and see which way I decide to go. But Diaz is obviously a little bit more expensive. Now, right now I've got loads of money. That might not always be the case. I don't know exactly when I might want to bring in a Man City defender. But at some point, Chelsea defenders are going to have to go, and it's all well and good sitting here saying, yeah, well, I'll just downgrade them and put more money in attack, but I might not need to do that. I might want to keep that position around the 5.5 to 6 million mark, and I've already got triple Liverpool, so Man City's kind of the fallback option. So if I can't afford Diaz, I'm a little bit unsure about Walker's place in the team right now. Pep said everyone was fit, but then before the game he says, well, Walker's not fit. It could have happened in the morning, right? Absolutely. But I just wonder if he's a little bit in Pep's bad books right now, and they could always play Zinchenko on the left, Cancelo on the right as well. Whereas I think if we're talking about, again, Pep's first choice team, favourite team, I think Laporte is part of that. Like, if I bring up his recent games, he's played the last 90 minutes. Obviously, Stones played last night as well, but that was because they didn't have a right back. Obviously, Cancelo would have played if he wasn't suspended. He missed the Villa game. He played West Ham, Everton. Even with the red card against Crystal Palace, yes, obviously he missed the Man United game through suspension, but then he was straight back in the team against Everton, played against West Ham. So he is playing more often than not. He's not completely nailed where he's never going to miss a game. There's always going to be a rest because John Stones is a great option as well. But he is definitely first choice, and I do think his goal threat's pretty good as well. He's low owned, and again, if I've got a squad where most of the other options are solid, so let's say I did go for Bowen over Grealish or Bernardo Silva, then having a defender that when he doesn't play is probably not going to come on in most situations is probably okay, especially when it's a defender that plays in the best defence in the league that also has decent goal threat when he does play as well. So I don't think he's a bad option over the Christmas period. I had him before. I got rid of him because of the red card and I just had other stuff to do, and obviously I wanted to jump on double Chelsea defence. But if that is no longer such a good option, or if I get to the point where they've got those difficult fixtures, then they got those blank game weeks as well, then Man City is probably where I would tend to go. Like, Man United could be an option, but I need to see a bit of improvement before I go there. And Laporte, look, he's not as attacking as a Cancelo or a Trent, but I don't think he's bad at all. For 5.5 million, could be a bit of a bargain maybe. All right, now we're going to talk about some of the players that haven't played yet. I think it's more interesting I actually quite like doing the watch list video at this point in the week, because obviously we are starting to look ahead to Game Week 18, but we haven't seen all the games. So you can't accuse me of knee-jerking. I'm thinking about it in advance, right? And I didn't want to get Lacazette before West Ham. And look, he might still block some future transfers. I need to work on exactly what I want to do over the next couple of weeks. But as some of you might know, I did buy Pookie. He's not very good. I don't necessarily need to play him every week anyway, but I do have the money in the bank to go to a more expensive striker if I wanted to. And that could be Watkins, and I'm going to talk about why that might not be this week, but it might be soon in team selection video, right? So I'm not writing Watkins off. Don't panic about it. Again, well done, owners, but we'll talk about it later on in the week. But I do like Lacazette's next 2 fixtures, and obviously one of the reasons we're talking about him is because Aubameyang is now under disciplinary action, right? And he's missing the West Ham game. But I think the way Arteta talked about it, there's not even a guarantee that he comes straight back into the side anyway. And if Lacazette does perform well, then obviously he might get Leeds, Norwich, Wolves, and get a chance to just kind of cement that position for a little bit. I do think that this is a very possibly short-term transfer. I don't see Aubameyang staying out the side for very long, But who knows, right? We don't know how bad things are at whatever he did, etc., right? So if Lacazette performs, he could keep the place. Also, he'd probably be on penalties as well with Aubameyang out. And we know that Leeds is a great fixture, as we saw last night. We also know that Norwich is a good fixture. Like, why would you take players out for a hit, and why would you not bring players in who are playing Norwich, right? It would just be crazy to do that. So Lacazette is good for the next 2. The only thing is then, the next 3 fixtures, Wolves are no pushovers. Man City's really tough. I don't think Conte is going to set up in a way to let Arsenal kind of push them over either. So the next 3 fixtures are fairly tough. And 8.3 million, I don't really want to bench him that often. So it depends what I think of that Wolves game, really. And then, look, I could maybe look to move him on. So I just don't know how much of a short-term transfer I want. The other thing is, and obviously I'm going to watch him against West Ham and see how he does. And then I might think, well, Leeds, Norwich, it's worth kind of 2-week punt and then just see what happens after that. The other thing is about Arsenal. Right? This is just more eye test. This is nothing to do with stats. I've not even checked the stats for Arsenal, to be honest with you. But you watch them against Southampton, they look really good. Like, the goal Lacazette score was brilliant, right? Not just because of his good finish, but just the way the build-up was to that goal. And look, maybe Southampton should have scored as well, but Arsenal generally played pretty well, attacked really well. And then you watch games like the Everton game, and you just think, what are Arsenal doing? They're 1-0 up. That doesn't mean that you just attack and throw away the lead, right? I get that, but there was just no control. It was completely chaotic at times. And it was almost like they were too afraid to go on the attack. Like, they just waited until they went behind and then they started attacking again. And I just think it was kind of like, I don't know if it was poor management or the side were just worried. I don't know. No, I'm just taking a couple of games as examples here, right? There's plenty of other games. But I feel like Arsenal could be better in attack than they sometimes show. Right? I just think they've got good quality players going forward and they just don't always show it. And I'd just be worried that might happen again. They go 1 or 2 up against Leeds. I mean, hopefully Lacazette would have scored them both, of course. If I don't own him, then Saka, of course. But you get the point, right? Are they then going to take put their foot on the brake? Like, I just don't know what to make of Arsenal in attack, I guess. Do I trust them? That is my main thing. But a player that's fairly nailed while Aubameyang's out, who would also be on penalties, who's also a good price, who also has 2 really nice fixtures coming up, has to be on the watch list. Let's see how he does against West Ham. All right, Heung-min Son, we know how good he is. Despite all the stuff with Spurs so far this season, new manager, not looking great at times, he still managed to come away with 6.2 points per game. This is what he does. He plays matches, he gets FPL points. Simple as that. He always has, always will probably, up until a certain point, I guess. His obviously ownership has come down a little bit. His underlying stats are looking pretty good. Now, I know it's dangerous putting him on before the Spurs game has been played, as if it gets played, because we don't know which players exactly were affected, tested positive and stuff like that. And then we also don't know how long they're going to be affected for. Some players test positive, they come back fine straight away. Others, it takes a bit of time. Look at like Havertz last season, for example. Right? It took a little bit of time to get back up to full speed. So we're going to have to wait and see. So if Son doesn't start the Leicester game and he's not available, obviously just skip over this bit and go to the next player. But if he is available, obviously I don't want to bring him in for Liverpool at home, but he's such a consistent player, and over Christmas getting players that are nailed like Ollie Watkins for 90 minutes or near enough 90 minutes, then someone like Son could be decent from like game week 19, 20, 21. Also, game week 22 against Arsenal's not even that bad either. Now, part of my thinking as well depends on the African Cup of Nations. And again, there's some people saying that it could be off. There's some people saying that's definitely not happening. We'll have to wait and see what happens. And obviously, we'll hopefully find out more before the game week preview and stuff like that later in the week. But if Salah stays and he's a captain option every week, in game week 21, if I just bring this up quickly, we'll go to game week 21. Salah plays Chelsea away. Now, he did score against Chelsea in the reverse fixture, right? He got that penalty. I'm not saying that you can't captain him, and everyone else will probably captain him, so he's a good permanent captain option. But in that same week, you got Leicester against Norwich, by the way, worth pointing that out. But you've also got Spurs versus Watford. So potentially he could be a differential captain as well. And obviously Harry Kane comes into that. I'm still not writing Harry Kane off. I know he's not done well for us this season. At some point the goals are going to come in for him. But I just think Son is probably a little bit easier for most of us to get to, especially for me, with the way I'm going to build up the midfield over the next couple of weeks. So he's definitely someone on the watch list. Obviously we've got to see how Spurs come back and how they perform. But Conte's hopefully had a little bit more time now. Hopefully get to improve them as well. And look, even with Spurs playing how they have been, Son's done really well. So if Conte can improve them even more, that's only a good thing for him. 10.3 million is quite expensive. But again, we need to see what's going to happen with other players. Like, is Jota going to continue to be an option? How many Man City midfielders do we get? Will Salah stay? Will he go? Do we want to go for De Bruyne? If there's money to be spent, Son is not a bad option. We just need to see how fit he is and whether he's still available. Alright, so next up, another midfielder, a little bit of a different end of the price spectrum, but we're going to talk about Demarai Gray. Now, he is very cheap, 5.6 million, and I know what a lot of people are going to say, right, especially if you've just sold Ronaldo and you've only got Salah as your one and only premium, right? If you're one of those FPL managers that's in that position, you've got a lot of money to spend, so you're probably not looking at 5.6 million midfielders, but just as a reminder, as I've said many times this season, FPL changes very quickly. Don't forget, we are only, we're not even 17 game weeks through at the time recording, but by game week 18 deadline we'll have played 17 game weeks. We've gone through, like, Bruno Fernandes is essential along with Salah, then Bruno Fernandes is no good. We all need kind of 2 premium forwards, or a lot of people want 3 premiums: Salah, Lukaku, Ronaldo. Then it was all about the midfield, and then all of a sudden, kind of in the last couple of weeks, a lot of people would have gone for Ronaldo anyway, but a lot of people got pushed into it. I kind of did as well, to be honest, because there was just no other options. I had Harry Kane, it was an easy switch. Then Ronaldo's game gets postponed, so then we will talk ourselves into midfielders. And if you've sold Ronaldo, if you're one of those FPL managers that only has Salah as the premium, then you've got a lot of money to spend. You're probably not looking at 5.6 million midfielders. But in a couple of weeks, maybe you want Son, maybe you want De Bruyne, maybe you want to go back to Ronaldo. Suddenly you need some enablers in that midfield position as well. And Demarai Gray's run of fixtures, or Everton's run of fixtures in general, is so damn good after the Chelsea game in Game Week 17. Now, again, Leicester at home, I don't think it's that bad. I wouldn't mind having to play a player in that fixture. And if we just come over to, obviously I've got the next 6 fixtures written down there, but after that, so which is the last game? Aston Villa, right? You've still got Newcastle left, Leeds left, Southampton left. Then it gets difficult in Game Week 27. So potentially, as kind of a set and forget, you could just put him in there, even if it's part of your squad. I'm not even saying you have to play him every week, but having a player that's nailed, that has those good fixtures, lets you concentrate on kind of transfers elsewhere. So obviously we all laugh about Mbeumo in my team. I've sold him now, but before I got rid of Ronaldo, before there was a postponement, Mbeumo to Gray was probably going to be my move, because I knew that I could just rely on him for a while. Now, I am a little bit worried about the Everton situation right now. I do think more than kind of any manager in the league, when things go wrong, Rafa Benitez is probably going to get it like in the neck a little bit tougher, because obviously he was Liverpool manager in the past, so that doesn't help. But also, mostly it's just the injuries, right? Calvert-Lewin's been injured forever. Now Richarlison's apparently got an injury as well, which might keep him out for kind of 3 to 4 game weeks. So there's a lot of problems in that kind of Everton attack, and they just haven't looked great. And then Luka Dean as well is apparently not happy. There's just a few things that worry me about going for Everton, but Demarai Gray has been nailed. I don't think he's missed a game so far, but let me just double check. So Man City only played 60 minutes and only 20 minutes against Brentford. I can't remember if he was injured around then, but otherwise he started every single game. So he's done really well as well. The numbers are looking okay for a 5.6 million midfielder. Again, we're not expecting them to perform like Kevin De Bruyne or Mo Salah or anything like that. So I'm keeping my eye on him. Right now I've got loads of money to burn. I'm really looking at players like Grealish, Son, etc. But at some point, and that could be very quickly, that will change. And I think Gray looks great. Obviously, while we're on the topic of Everton, Calvert-Lewin is the player I want. I want a fit and nailed 90 minutes on penalties Calvert-Lewin for the fixtures you see on screen right now. But again, he's been out for a while. He's only played 3 games. It's going to take a little while for him to get kind of reacclimatized with playing football again at that level in the Premier League. When he is an option, I'll definitely look at him. But again, right now, I don't need a Calvert-Lewin. I might need a cheap midfielder, and so I'm definitely not writing Demarai Gray off. I think he looks like a good option. Just in the current climate where people have got loads of money, it might not be where they're looking, but it could be soon. So there we go. Let me know what you think about the players on the list. Obviously, we'll talk more transfer tips tomorrow. I just want to get some more of the matches out of the way before we do that. And I'll do team selection Friday morning again once all the matches have been played. So I know exactly what rank I'm at, exactly what my moves are going to be for the next game week as well. So if you enjoyed this one, do give it a like. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. And I'll be back tomorrow with another video. We'll do transfer tips and then we'll do team selection on Friday along with the game week preview deadline stream on Saturday, of course. I'll see you then.